All right, we're going to start because I want to make sure we have enough time to answer questions. Thank you all for coming. My name is Shirley Carswell, and I'm the Executive Director of the Dow Jones News Fund. I'm also a former Dow Jones intern, so I'm speaking as both the director of the program, but also as somebody who has been an intern in the program. Granted, it was a while ago, but the program is still as good as it was then. It's still very good. So today's session is really is an opportunity for us to share some information about the program with you, help you make your decisions about whether you want to apply, which we hope you do, and if you do apply, which program might be best for you. And we're going to give you a few little tips and tricks to help you navigate, but just be aware that there's also a session tomorrow that is strictly test prep. So one part of our application is a test. And tomorrow's session at 7 p.m., I believe, Heather, is just focused on test prep. So we'll talk a little bit about the test today, but it's not going to go into too much detail because that will be covered tomorrow. So again, today we just want to share as much as we can with you about the program and then answer any questions you have. And here to help me today is Heather Taylor. Heather is the program manager and social media manager for the Dow Jones News Fund. And she's going to present some information. And then again, I promise you we'll get right to questions. So start thinking of your questions now. Right, Heather, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Shirley. Hold on, let me just share screen. Slideshow from the beginning. All right, can we see the PowerPoint? Yes, okay, great. So yes, my name is Heather Taylor. I'm the manager of digital media and programs. My email address is heather.taylor@dowjones.com. Anytime after today, you are more than welcome to email me. I could set up a one-on-one with you if you would like to talk further. I'm here to help facilitate the process. So please write down my email and keep it handy. So for those unfamiliar with the Dow Jones News Fund, we are a nonprofit foundation that promotes careers in journalism. We've been doing this since 1960. So since then, we've been training college students to work in paid internships in some of the nation's leading news organizations. So when we're talking about our internships, it's beyond Dow Jones. This summer, for example, we worked with, I think, 54 different media companies across the country. So we're talking beyond just the Wall Street Journal and Barron's, but also big names like the New York Times, LA Times, niche publications, radio stations, nonprofit news sites. You know, we have a really broad array of partners that we work with. And since we've been doing this since 1960, we have launched thousands of journalism careers, and just wanted to highlight a few of our notable alums. Karen Penziero, she's the managing editor of the Wall Street Journal, and she's also a board member of the Dow Jones News Fund. Jamel Hill, Sudeep Reddy, Mitra Kalita, who was formerly at CNN. Now she has her own venture, and she was in the program, I believe. She was in a high school workshop, and then I think she did the internship twice. So she's one of our, very strong backers of the Dow Jones News Fund. Krista Thompson at the Washington Post. And Krista was really great. She actually met with our interns, the class of 2021 this year, to talk about diversifying sources as you're working. So we're really lucky to have some of these alumni who like to give back and be with the fun. And Wes Lowry is a more notable alum or a more recent alum. He was in the program twice, in 2010 and 2011. And since then, he went on to win a Pulitzer, and he's now at CBS News. So let me give you a little bit about, tell you a little bit about each of these programs, an overview. And I'm just going to say from right now, we don't know next year if it's going to be in person or remote. For the last 2 cycles, they have been remote because of the pandemic. Before that, all of our training programs were in person. So I'm going to give this presentation with optimism that we're going to be in person. We can talk in Q&A if you want some more specifics about the virtual training, but we're going to proceed as if we're in person. So the data journalism program is led by investigative reporters and editors at the University of Missouri. And that's really focused on computer assisted reporting, filing records requests. How do you visualize that data? What are some of the tools you can use? What are some tricks to bulletproof your data to make sure it's all accurate? What are the ways that you could extract a story from it? We have 2 business reporting programs. One are business reporters who are working for a variety of newsrooms. And then we have a second business reporting program that's exclusively for interns going to work at American City Business Journal's publications around the country. And both those trainings are at New York University. And we really try to take advantage of being in the financial capital of the world. You get to go to the New York Stock Exchange, you get to go visit the Wall Street Journal newsroom, you get to go to a bunch of other newsrooms and meet with industry leaders who are reporting on business. The digital media program is at Arizona State University's Cronkite School of Journalism. And there you're learning a lot of different tools and techniques for digital storytelling. So there's audio, video, social media analytics, headline writing, SEO, crowd, following trending stories on social media in a community. It really covers a lot in that week. And then at the end of the 7 days of training, you actually then spend 3 days putting together a multimedia project, which is really cool to see. And then finally is our multi-platform editing program, which is copy editing plus, it's about doing that final polish on content before it goes out to the public. So you are doing the SEO headline writing, you're doing, you have your news judgment. In some internships, you're actually laying out the front page of the newspaper and other sections, copy editing. So all those things that go into it. Over here on the right, you'll see just a little snapshot of what, people always wonder how competitive our program is. So last year we had 713 applicants and we had 86 internships. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. So just diving a little bit deeper into each of the programs. For our data journalism program, a lot of people are always asking, what are we looking for in an intern in our data program? And it really is, there's a variety of students. Some are coders, some of you have maybe a GitHub site where you already know a lot of these tools that can extract information and visualize it. We look for some interns with with design experience where you've done the data visualization. Others just like investigative reporting. Maybe you have some really strong investigative skills and you've done some deeper dive reporting at your school newspaper. That would be something that would stand out to us when we're looking at your applications. So not all internships, it's not all the same. They all don't check the same boxes. So we're really trying to be very careful and mindful in our partnerships where we're matching you. So we take a lot to look at what is the job description of the newsroom and the internship, and then what is on your resume. So for this data program, we might be looking for coders, or we might be looking for more investigative reporters and writers who can dive deep into a story. Same thing with digital media. There's a really broad array of skills we're looking for, and it's not one size fits all for this program. Some internships are really heavy on audio, video. Some might be really heavy on social media. Some we just want you to come with us with some that you're digitally savvy and you can pick up these digital tools really quickly. Usually I like to see in our applicants that you have maybe 1 or 2 skills that you have really worked on at school, maybe at the school newspaper or in an internship. And then our training is really rounding out those skills. So when you jump into the internship, you have a lot to offer that newsroom. For our business reporting program, this is our largest program and always the one we're looking for the most applicants. You don't have to be a business major or business minor. And I hope you're not intimidated by the term business reporting. We really are looking for strong reporters. So if you are a reporter and you have a beat at your school newspaper, or you're a reporter at your, if you did a reporting internship last summer for a newspaper, you'd be great as a business journalist. So please don't be scared about it. During our training week, we'll cover all the ins and outs and the common tools for being a business journalist. How do you read SEC filings? What are some of the key words and information you should know? You'll be reading books that will fill you in on how to apply that business angle to a story. But really what we're looking for in applicants are really strong writers and reporters who would feel confident going in to cover an event, go interview a CEO. How could you take that story? Do you know how to write a story? And maybe do more long form pieces. So those are the type of things we're looking for our business reporting program. And I just want to highlight with the ACBJ program, for the last 2 years during the pandemic, they've been exclusively focused on reporting on DEI issues in cities. So they're covering, Black owned and minority owned businesses. They're covering the impact of the pandemic on people of color and the employees. And it's been really remarkable to see the work that they've done over the last 2 years in this program. And so I'd strongly encourage you to consider business journalism. And then finally, editing. In the past, we've had 2 sites, sometimes even more. The last 2 were at University of Texas, Austin, and Temple University in Philadelphia. And this is really focused on really learning AP style, grammar. What are some common mistakes that reporters make that you can fix? For layout and design, how should a newspaper be designed? Headline writing is very important in copy editing or in the multi-platform editing program. Many times you are writing the headlines, and that's part of your job. Doing the SEO headlines, knowing the difference between what's a print headline and what's an SEO headline. These are some of the type of things. This is probably our most competitive program. We typically have about 10 to 15 copy editors or multi-platform editors in our program. So we're looking for people who were the copy chief at their school newspaper. We had a previous editing experience. One thing that's coming up a lot with a lot of our media partners is experience in audience engagement. So if you have that, if you've been doing audience engagement, put that on your resume because that's what we want to see. That's really important in today's newspaper world. So let's talk about the benefits. So we have this free internship training. It is hopefully in person, 7 to 10 days. We would fly you out to that city of where it's happening, and you would have your housing and your food covered during that training period. When you go off to your internship, you're guaranteed a salary of $525 or more. You would receive, if you have a successful internship and you complete it, a $1,500 scholarship that could go toward either tuition or federal student loans. We provide memberships to key journalism organizations. So all of our interns become members of the Online News Association. Our business reporters become members of SABU, which is the Society for Advancing Business Editing and Writing. Our editors become members of ACES, the Society for Editing. Our data journalists become members of IRE. So that's really great. And as I said, we have this great alumni network, and you also have the peer network of the people who you've been going through this training with. That's one thing that we love to see are these bonds and friendships that are made during the training program and then the summer. And then when you graduate from the program, you have this alumni network that you jump into, and we try to have special events. We have a newsletter. We do job postings. We have a Slack channel, LinkedIn channel, a Facebook channel. So we're really trying to grow and keep this going. We also, for the last 2 years, and I should add this to the slide, we have a mentorship program. So we pair you with an alumni mentor, if you request one, who could help you out with navigating your internship, who could help offer advice on putting together your resume and your portfolio when you go to start applying for jobs. We had some mentors this summer, which were helping our interns negotiate salaries for, their internship was being extended into a full-time job, and they needed help negotiating what that salary would be as they transition from an intern to a full-time employee. So this is a snapshot of previous internship placements, media companies that we've worked for. It changes every year. I mean, there's some that we've been working with for over 50 years and that always are with us, but we have 10 that go to American City Business Journals. We have several that go to the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today. They should be bigger, I guess, but we have them by individual paper here. But last summer, we had 10 interns at different USA Today publications. So you could just get a sense for where our internships go. This is a map of American City Business Journals. We have a partnership with them where they take 10 interns and they place them at one of their 44 news markets. So what they're looking for are specifically interns who either go to school or grew up in one of their markets. So this way you're familiar with the territory. Hopefully you would have housing there. So it wouldn't be the extra burden of like having to fly across the country and find housing. And you'd be familiar with the city and be able to better cover it. And then hopefully if you graduate, you'd have a job or you'd be in position to get a full-time job there. And I think they've run the numbers since he's been doing this for 7 or 8 years. I think he says he has 15 on staff who have been through the program and hired after going through the program. So let's talk about the application. If you applied last year, our application is going to be a little bit different. We've tried to simplify the process for everyone. So rather than having 4 different applications, one for each program, we've put it all into one application. So now you would go on our website, you'd click apply now, and in the application, it will ask you to indicate which programs you're interested in. So you could check off, it's a simple check off of, data journalism, business reporting, multi-platform editing, digital media. You can check off 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you are interested in. There are required attachments. So you need an essay question. Tell us about a time you learned a life lesson the hard way, up maximum 500 words. This is really your opportunity to showcase your writing skills and to tell us more about you and let us get a feel of who you are and what your interests are. We also need as your attachments, unofficial transcript. If you're a graduate student, I would say attach your undergraduate transcript, clips. And we used to only say business reporting. I got to fix this slide. It's actually, we now want to see samples from everyone. We've realized, business reporters, we want to see stories you've written, but for data journalism, digital media, editing, I'm sure you have a lot of work you want to showcase as well. Maybe it was a social media Twitter thread that you did on a topic. Maybe it was headlines you wrote as an editor for your school newspaper. Maybe if you're a data journalist, maybe you have a data visualization you did or actual code you wrote. So those would be the type of things that you can attach to this resume or attach to this application. And then we also need your resume. So let's talk a little bit about the test. As Shirley said, we're going to have a more in-depth test prep session tomorrow. But for today, I'll tell you that the test is online. You take it at your convenience at home. There are 6 sections. There's a video question where you'll have about 2 minutes to prepare, and then you only get 1 shot to record it. Keep in mind, think of your surroundings. We're not going to ding you if it has a busy if you don't have a background or we don't really care what you're wearing so much, as long as you are wearing a shirt, because we did have once someone not wearing a shirt. So be clothed. On the test, we ask current events, which is a big part of the test, because it's very important for us that our interns are aware of what's happening in the world. We want you to be news consumers. We want you to be able to jump in day one on that newspaper, and you're going to know when something's a big story. You're going to, oh wait, this is I need to get this to the editor. So we need you to be aware of what's happening. Grammar, AP style, geography, knowing where different states are. Then there's 4 sections for digital media, editing, business, and data. And I'll just say, if you're applying for digital and you bomb the business, don't worry, it won't hurt your chances. We score them separately. So we'll be able to see which programs more align with your strengths. So what happens is you're going to apply first off our website, and then within 24 hours, you should get a link from HireVue to take the test. We ask you to take it within 3 days. I'm getting lots of emails from students who applied and didn't realize that. We're not strict right now. I'll let you know. If you need an extra week, it's okay. We want you to take it as quick as possible so you don't forget to take it, because it is required. We will not review your application without the test. So we do try to send you reminders and get you to take it, but you do have some time if you need it. The drop dead deadline to take the test will be November 8th. So you must take it before then. So people always ask for best ways to prepare. So my number one suggestion is just Google top stories of 2021. Familiarize yourself with sort of the key stories, the biggest news. We're not trying to trick you. We don't try to give you obscure news. We pick people who are prominent in the news, either public officials, elected officials, major stories that impact our country, our economy, maybe international relations. So Google and look for the biggest news stories. The New York Times and Wall Street Journal both have current events quizzes. They'd be great places to start. Keep in mind, we probably finish this test by end of August, so you don't really need to memorize facts from September, but look from January to August. Join professional news organizations or student chapters. It really stands out for us if we see that you're the local president of your NABJ or AAJA chapter, if you've gone to the ONA conferences and worked in the student media newsroom, All those things make you really stand out as a strong candidate to us. So definitely take advantage of those resources. These professional organizations also offer, a lot of free training, mentorship, and other opportunities. So they're really beneficial to you, and they show your true dedication to wanting to go into the journalism profession, which is what we're looking for. Review AP style and grammar quizzes. If you Google, there's a bunch of different online tools that you can take AP style and grammar quizzes. Things like knowing your AP style for all the numbers would be really important. And also like commonly mistaken words and grammar questions. Those are things that you might want to look for. And then finally, thinking about, for what you're attaching to your application as your work samples, just be really, really think about it and be committed to it. I'm trying to think of the right word here. You want to put your best foot forward and really have it showcase what you could do. I know a lot of this is we're trying to think of what could you go out and do day one at a newspaper. And so this work should be able to tell us that. We do have all of our previous tests are available on our website to download. So we actually have last year's test, and tomorrow we'll give you a demo in the actual platform. But if you go to our website, you would see this page and you can download a blank version of last year's test and then the answer key and compare it and see how you do. And this is just a snapshot. I have to update this as 2020, but we did recently this year open it up to sophomores. Before it was juniors and above. And that was really because we always had sophomores sneaking in anyway. So it was like, why do we say they can't apply? They do anyway. So sophomores can apply. And if you're graduating in December, you can also apply. You'll also see we take people from all different majors and minors. You don't have to be a journalism major. And some schools don't even have journalism programs. So don't let that discourage you from applying. International students already in the US with proper visas are also eligible. And so let me just give you a quick timeline. So November 5th is the deadline to apply. As I said, the test deadline will be November 8th. That's 3 days after the November 5th deadline. Hopefully intern selection begins in December. I'll say last year, because of the pandemic, a lot of our media companies waited to sign up in January, February. So we were making most of our calls in January, February, March. So it's a long process. We don't call students until the media makes a commitment to us. And so that's sort of what we're waiting for. So hopefully we can start in December, but it might be delayed. So you're more than welcome in January, February, if you want to email me and say, hey, Heather, how, are there still opportunities? Are you still making selections? And I will let you know, like, we have X number of spots left, or we've closed that program and all the spots are filled. I'd be happy to share that information with you if you want to just gauge it and know, or, maybe you get an offer from someone else and be like, hey, I'm about to accept another offer. If you still have something open and considering me, now's the time to tell me. The training programs are usually May 15th to June 5th. So I know like digital is usually the first one. In the beginning, mid-May. Usually business is the last week of June or last week of May and the first week of June. So it's in this approximate time range. When we call you to make the offer of the internship, that would be something that you're told these are the dates. I'll just note for anyone here from like a college that's on the quarter system, this sometimes is impacted by your ability to participate. Students have been able to go to their faculty advisor or the department chair and been given permission to take the week off to attend the training so that you could still have the internship then when school ends, maybe mid-June. So internships typically begin the first week of June or June 6th, and they last 10 to 12 weeks. And this is our social media channels, and I think we can open up to questions now. Shirley, do you want to add anything from?
No, I just want to emphasize that if you apply and you haven't heard from us and you are about to accept something else, please call us. Please reach out first and just see. I mean, you never know. It could really make a difference. But because we get so many applications, it's hard for us to get back to everybody. And it's hard for us to, as Heather said, make offers before we have the solid information from the media partners. So just feel free to reach out and see where things stand if you're, or even if you're just curious to see where you are.
I'll add one thing. Last year, I don't know if they're going to be the same. Last year, we had several media companies that wanted to see finalists. They said, we would like to see 2 to 3 resumes of different students before we make our final decision. So there might be a case where I call you and say, you're a finalist for this internship. Are you still available? Would you be interested in this internship? And you could say yes or no. We can also, I don't know if the internships are going to be in person or remote. Right now, a lot of our media partners are saying hybrid. So that would mean you live in the city of where the newsroom is, and you only go into the office maybe 2 to 3 days a week and work remotely. We do have an intern assistance fund that can help cover housing, transportation, food, or clothing costs. You can apply for it because we know it sometimes can be a burden to move. Some interns love the opportunity to move across the country. We had one intern who she was offered a remote internship. She lived in Kentucky, but her internship was in Seattle. And she was like, I'm going to Seattle for the summer. And she voluntarily went, even though it was a remote internship, but she wanted to be in the city. So that's something that when we get to the point where we call you and offer you the internship, we can talk that out. We also want you to be really honest with both yourself and us about your own career goals and aspirations. We had a situation last year where someone accepted a digital media internship and then 2 weeks later emailed us and said, you know what, I really wanted business reporting. I got another offer, so I'm going to take that. And they dropped out. And our media partner then dropped out of our program. And so no one got that internship. And if they'd been honest with us from the beginning, I think everything would have been better. We would have found a suitable candidate who really wanted to work there and they wouldn't have dropped out. So, our goal is to further your career and help you advance. So it doesn't help either of us if you accept something that you're not interested in.
Yeah, I also want to just talk about the pay because our minimum is $525 a week. Most of I would say probably 3/4 of our newspapers or our news partners pay more than that. So that's just the minimum that news organization must pay you, at least that much. But we have some of the larger ones that pay almost twice that much. So we'll open it up now. Any questions?
Stop the share.
You can type them in the chat or you can just raise your hand.
Dariana?
Yeah,
That's it, right?
I'm Dariana. Yes, I'm a journalism student at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about how the applications are weighed. So if someone doesn't do exceptionally well on the test, but they have quality clips and a strong resume or portfolio, what are their chances of getting in the program?
I would say good. Especially if you have experience working in a student newsroom, that we weight that very high. We consider that equal to having previous internship experience. I think definitely your clips, showing us strong clips would definitely stand out. But if you do poor on the test and then your clips are very weak, that would tell us something else.
I also think that it's important to, don't sleep on the essay. Because again, that's your right. That's even if your clips are so-so, if you knock the essay out of the park, then that tells us that you have the ability to do it, and maybe just need a little bit more editing or coaching. But the writing is important, and also how you present yourself. I mean, one of the things we hear so often from news organizations is they want interns who are curious. You have to, even if you're an editing intern, you still have to show curiosity and, be engaging, So I think those are important things that could easily outweigh a poor test score.
Thank you.
AJ?
Hey, Aaron Fleming. AJ is, it's formal versus informal, but yeah. So I'm also a journalism major. I'm at the University of Memphis. I just wanted to clarify for one, so we can't apply for more than one internship, correct? And then you kind of base which one we'd be more fit for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
and then also So recently I got, I contributed to an article in the Daily Beast out of New York. And so obviously that's something I'm kind of proud of, but it wasn't an article that obviously like I wrote the whole thing. I was just kind of a contributing reporter alongside somebody else that works on their staff. So is that something that I could use in my application?
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say put, if you can, either I would maybe attach a paragraph that explains what your contributions were to it. So if it's
Okay,
a code,
cool.
we generally say, you know, especially for business report, if you were interested in being business reporting, we'd really want it to be a single byline so we know what your writing skills are. But
Right.
definitely, like for anything else, even if it's like you contributed on a website or on a video package, if you aren't the sole author of it, you know, put a little explanation paragraph saying this is what your contribution to it was and what you did, so that our evaluators know.
Also, don't forget about things like, you know, some people like might work for their church media team, you know, I mean, something like that could be real experience, right? So don't forget about all your experience.
Justin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin. I'm a journalism major at Stony Brook University. My question is for you, Ms. Carswell. What was your biggest takeaway from your internship with Dow Jones? What was your favorite part?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway for me was how to work on deadline. You know, when you're in your school campus media, you know, we busted deadlines all the time, right? You know, we stayed up all night trying to get the paper out, but we busted the deadline. The training that I got, and I was in the editing training program, the training that I got, we worked like several days where we were just on deadline all the time. And that really prepared me for the rigors of a daily newsroom in a way that nothing in college had prepared me for, class or student media. So I'd say that was probably the biggest thing I learned, was how to, you know, how to take deadlines seriously, and then how not to stress out so much about a deadline. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Joy?
So I have a question because I'm more interested, I think, in broadcast journalism. And I see you talking a lot about like print journalism or online newspapers. Do you do broadcast journalism internship opportunities as well?
Not so much. It could always change. But I'll say our digital media program is a really strong foundation for any future broadcast career, because you're learning all those different tools that they're going to expect you to know as a producer, you know, how to put together different things, how to fact check. So I do think it's very good, but if you want to go work at a network, we probably won't have an internship for you. We used to have a TV station in our program. They were not in it since the pandemic. So I don't know when they'll come back, if they will. That was always a great internship because it was in Hawaii. But I can't, right now, I don't know if we have any TV stations on the horizon. Maybe Shirley would know, but.
I mean, I think one thing we do is we partner with the Emma Bowen Foundation, and Emma Bowen does broadcast. And so we do usually have a few interns that we take from Emma Bowen that go to TV stations. And I think this year we had 2 or 3 that were at TV stations. We also have NPR. We have at least one other public radio, but that's about the extent of it. Now, you know, we are always looking to expand. So, you know, that might be something that you would see in the future, but Heather's right in terms of our matching. Most of our matching is with more traditional print media or digital media.
Okay, thank you. And then one more question. I know on the website, and I'm sorry if you already touched on this, it says minimum of 10 weeks. Is that approximately how long these internships last, or do you expect a lot of them to last longer? Or?
Yeah, it's 10 to 12 weeks. I would say most of them are 10. And that's something that can be discussed, you know, with your own schedule. You know, if we really like you, if the newsroom really likes you, and they want 12 weeks, but you can only do 10, that's something that might be negotiable.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And some, you know, some get extended. Like if you've graduated, some say, hey, you know, we really like the work you're doing. You can stay on through the end of the year, or, you know, so you can be extended as well.
Thank you.
Kelsey?
Hi, I'm a journalism student at Kansas State University, and I was just wondering for the resumes, would you guys recommend a cover letter in addition to that, or does it matter?
No, someone emailed me today about the cover letter, and I told them, yeah, like, you really don't need to bother. Shirley might have a different, we have enough, I think, to look at between your essay is important, your resume, your video response on the on our test. That gives us a very good, well-rounded, I would say the video on the test is almost like your cover letter in terms of like what we hope to get out of it. Because it's, without giving away the question, I mean, it's very similar to what we did last year, but we want to know about your future goals, so I think that would be tied in to what a cover letter would include about what your hopes and goals are in this coming into this program.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't penalize anybody for adding a cover letter, but it's not necessary.
Thank
Now,
you.
I will say this, if you have some, really unusual path that took you to where you are now, or if you had some extenuating circumstances that, can't easily be explained, like you had a big gap in your resume or something like that, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and do a cover letter and explain that, or tell it a little bit more, but otherwise it's not really necessary.
Yeah. Jesus?
Right. Hi, I have two questions. So the first one was, let's say we do get multiple offers, and the only difference between the Dow Jones internship and another one, it's the pay. Are you all willing to negotiate on the pay?
I don't think we'd be in a position to. I don't know, Shirley?
And it depends on the news organization. I think many, because again, your pay is coming directly from the news organization, not from us. So, once a news organization makes you an offer, if you have a competing offer and you say, well, I really like to go to X, but this company's offering me $150 more a week, I guess it wouldn't hurt to go back to the news organization and say, hey, can you match this or come closer? I would just say things to remember about the dollar amounts that you're offered is, we do have the Intern Assistance Fund, which, can help you with things like rent, food, transportation. So, that you should factor that in as well. And again, there's not, a guarantee that you'll get it, but we haven't really turned down too many interns who need help. And the other thing I would just say is, look at the experience that you're going to get. And, I realize, believe me, I know college students need money. It's like experience is good, but you need money right now. And so I would just say, look at the experience and make sure that what you're being offered for the summer is, is going to further your career and not just put money in your pocket for the summer. Our interns do, most of them do, work as full-time employees. I mean, they hit the ground running. First week, the ACBJ, American City Business Journal interns, I think the first week, some of them had like 5 bylines the first week. So, I mean, they really put you through the paces. So just keep those things in mind.
Yeah, the other thing that might be negotiable, and again, this is all, we don't know what's going to happen with the future, is whether or not it's a remote internship or in person, because that's another way of cost savings if you don't need to move and get an apartment. But so all that can be a conversation that we have if we call you with an offer.
Okay. And then my second question was specifically for the data journalism. I think it was mentioned you guys are looking for like coders or something like that. Are you guys looking for like specific like programs or hard skills, or is it more of like you're looking for someone that can go through the process?
I think they look for people. I don't think there's a specific like coding language that they need to know, but I think seeing that you do know one means you're going to quickly pick up others, or you'll be able to be easily thrown into a new situation. And again, so all the internships are different in the data program. Some they do want students who can do coding. Others, it's more about being able to take an Excel spreadsheet. Do you know how to like work with an Excel spreadsheet like really well to get that, clean the data, extrapolate the story from it, find that story? Are you
Okay.
curious? Know how to ask questions? So, yeah, they're just really broad.
All right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Wes?
Yeah, I have a question kind of piggybacking off of what AJ had said. So I'm the editor-in-chief at my paper, and before this, I was literally on semester or on staff for an entire year when the pandemic hit. And so my byline, like clip-wise with mine, is somewhat thinner to choose from. As EIC, I don't write a ton given the fact of how insane the job in itself is, but I do write the editorial board. How is that something that we're able to include in our clips, even though it's technically, we write our ed board under the anonymity byline of just coming from the ed board itself and not directly from the writer?
Okay, but you wrote it. You're saying that these would
Yes.
be ones that you wrote. I
Correct.
think you could, if you were, I think you could.
Okay.
But it would be better if you were interested in business reporting. It would be better to see stories you've written, because
Yeah.
they're looking for people who could, to show that you know how to,
Yeah.
the story arc of how to write a story.
Yeah.
But if you're
I have a little bit of both, but
Mhm.
like my most, like, if they were to ask me, like, well, why haven't you written in like 6 months? Be like, well, because I became EIC and I don't like, given for sanity reasons, like just
Yeah.
don't have.
No,
like,
I think that's kind of understood. If you're the editor in chief, you're not going to have as many bylines, or some places no bylines that
Right.
year, because you're editing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it doesn't have to be from this year. When you're
Okay.
thinking of your clips, it could be from freshman year. I mean, I was talking to a class yesterday. They were asking if their high school work could be submitted, and I was like, well, if you're really, maybe you won an award from CSPA or some of these like high school journalism organizations. I was like, sure, if you really are that proud of it and you think
Yeah.
it showcases your skills, you can.
Yeah, I just wanted to check on it because we've submitted a couple for ACP for editorial board that I've written, and if I just didn't know how that was going to work because it doesn't show up under my byline, if like there was special circumstances or anything else that we would need to include with that.
Yeah, I would just, maybe put a note on it saying I wrote that, I was the only author of this, so that the person evaluating knows. And also, I get a lot of questions of like, oh, well, I don't have anything yet. I'm like, well, right now it's October 4th. You have a month. Pitch a story to your school paper and get something published. You have 30 days to do it. So you could also take this opportunity to get a story printed for, anyone participating who doesn't have any stories in the paper yet.
Thank you.
Christina.
Hi, I'm a journalism major at Penn State. Most of my clips are from like my time at like the Penn State student newspaper, but I'm interested in like the data journalism internship, and I'm confident that I could do really well there, but the Collegian just doesn't do data journalism. And so I have like a lot of investigative work that I'm really proud of, but it's not data related at all. Do you have any advice for like how I should be submitting clips for that, given that I don't have any really to show regarding data journalism?
I think this is the first year we're actually asking for that you can submit clips. So our evaluators, they're typically used to not having anything. They're just going usually off your, we just sort of added it. We're like, well, maybe they want to showcase something. What, I've seen, if like you're a coder, I've definitely seen people submit their GitHub portfolio link, if that's something you've done. But on your resume, like if you've done any investigative projects at your school newspaper, definitely have that on your resume. If you've attended any previous like IRE conventions or training programs, that could look good. There's other ways to highlight that you'd have strong investigative skills. So I
would also say that if you've taken courses where you've gotten some data training in the course, you could highlight that as well. And I think maybe there is a question on the application that asks about that, what courses you've taken. But yeah, I think the investigative stuff, will definitely garner attention. So highlight.
So if I'm, even if I'm not applying to the business internship where, you want like clips of like reporting work, should I still like attach some reporting work that I've done.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you?
Like, it's, my understanding was like, most of the internships where you're looking for like articles rather than like examples of like page layouts people have created was in the, just for the business reporting internship. Should I apply even if I'm not with that, even if I'm not looking to apply to the business internship?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Megan.
Hi, I'm a journalism student from Hofstra. I was just wondering, is there like a maximum number of clips that we should add, or do you just think like we should add as many as we think are relevant?
And I should say this up front, I think you only get one attachment. So you got to think about how you put everything into one PDF document. For business reporting, we used to ask for only 3 to 5 clips of stories you've written. And I think for some of the other work, like if you're going to be submitting a video, maybe a digital media, you have a video to share, you could put on one single Word document links, make sure they're clickable links, but you could put links to anything online that you want to share. But for stories you've written, I would strongly suggest put the story in the document. Don't put hyperlinks to stories because it's a lot harder for us to go and print them. Sometimes there's a paywall and we can't get to the story. So especially for any articles you wrote, to put the full text of the article in that attachment. But yeah, it has to be one PDF.
Okay,
Yeah,
and also, sorry.
Don't get carried away. Sometimes people think if they put like 15 clips, that's going to impress us more.
Yeah.
Pick your best shot. Don't get carried away.
All right, and also kind of like building on what AJ was asking, like let's say you have a story that you're proud of, but there's another person on the byline, but they were kind of just like with you at interviews and like doing like a survey, but you wrote the entire thing. Like, is that something you should specify and like can still submit?
Yeah, I put a little explanation.
Okay, thank you.
Yiwan?
Hi. Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first one is specifically about the essay and kind of following up the previous question on cover letter. Given that we're not like supplying a cover letter, does it mean that the essay would you suggest it be more tailored towards a personal angle, or would that be more of like a professional goal as we would have done in a cover letter if we submitted?
I think more personal. The essay question is tell us a life lesson you learned the hard way. So I would make it journalism focused, like what was a life lesson probably in journalism, or it could be anything, or how does it inform your journalism career or your journalism aspirations? I don't know, Shirley, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I don't even think it has to necessarily be journalism related. I think it's a chance to show your writing and how you develop a thought, right? So it doesn't have to be, I learned this lesson about deadlines or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be journalism specific. I think it can be any life lesson as long as you write it well. And you're telling a story, right? So we want to see right there, we want to see your storytelling ability.
Yeah.
So I would say personal and, do your best.
Great, thank you. Yeah, another question is more on the logistics side. So if we are submitting writing samples in PDF attachments, do you also is the attachment and link separated? That means, can I also submit like a link to my online portfolio in addition to the PDF documents?
Yeah, there is something in the application portal where it says, I think like websites. And so that you could also put links there. People have done that before. We don't require it. It's not like a starred, required section, but that's definitely an opportunity for you to stick your website in there. But if you want to put it as part of your work samples, I would put it into put in a PDF, just the link, and have it so clickable so we can open it up and look at it.
Yeah, thank you.
Emily.
All right, hi, my name's Emily. I'm go to Lewis University, which nobody has ever heard of. It's by Chicago. But basically, I have a question, but real quick, for Joy, because I think you had that question. I actually know someone at my school who applied through the Emma Bowen Foundation, and she was able to do broadcast work as well as writing. So it definitely can be done. And then secondly, my question, say that you were someone who was interested in going into the business reporting internship, but maybe you had a portfolio that was like more of like feature-y type of writing. So like maybe like cultural analyses, or like, you know, opinion pieces or something, but you still have bylines across different platforms. How strong are your chances of still getting that internship, and kind of what are your tips, I guess?
I think very strong. We're looking for writers, you know, so and the business reporting program is we have the most opportunities, and we always get the least number of applicants interested in business because they're all scared or intimidated by business, which you shouldn't be, because it's a really great field and offers a lot of job prospects afterwards. So I think you should definitely submit your clips and go for it. Look at our previous tests, you know, try, you know, for the test, like try to look at some key concepts in business, you know, just to help. But, you know, the test isn't the end all be all. For business, we're really looking at the clips. And a lot of our internships are not just on Wall Street, covering Wall Street, but they're out in a city or community covering, you know, the major employers in town, the major businesses, covering openings of new places. So definitely apply.
Yeah, I think that it's not so much that you already know business, because very few interns already know about business, right? So it's really, you know, as Heather said, your writing ability, your reporting ability, and then we'll teach you the business stuff in the training, you know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, I don't know if there's another question right now, but there was a question about letters of recommendation. So we don't ask for letters of recommendation, but we do ask that you need to have 2 references and you give us their contact information. So, and our directors do call them.
Now, one thing we should say about the test, and again, we'll get into this more tomorrow, but the test is timed, which means each question is timed. So, you know, so it's not like you have 2 hours to complete the test and you can just sort of take your time on the first question. You know, each question has a time limit, and that makes it very challenging. So just keep that in mind. And again, as Heather said, if you have an opportunity to try the test from last year, that will give you a little bit of insight into how it works. All right, I think we've answered every question.
I mean, if we want to take 5 more minutes, I could give a quick demo of the test platform. Should I do that now? Well, little teaser for tomorrow.
If they're willing to stick around.
Do you guys want to see a preview really quickly of the test? Yeah, I see some heads nodding. Okay. So I'm going to show you from what it looks like from my email. Okay. So close out of this. So you see here, I have an email. Where is it? Sorry, here. It says, are you guys seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so it says higher view qualifying test for the Dow Jones News Fund. That's what it would look like. And you would get this email. And so this is the actual test from last year. And you would say, take the test. And I'm only going to spend a couple minutes. We'll get into this deeper tomorrow, but I'm going to have to turn off my camera. Things to think about are like, what is your internet connection like? Do you have the video and audio on your computer? Hopefully this passes the, oh. This happened yesterday, but then I got it to work. So let's try one more time. Yeah, okay. So you could do a practice if you want. This would be to test your audio, but. So this was last year's question. In no more than 2 minutes, please tell us what you hope to get out of the Dow Jones News Fund experience. So you see here, you have like 2 minutes to prep. And then when you record, you only get 1 shot to record it. And so you would start recording. And you can start talking. Now, eventually after like, I think 20 seconds, I'll say done answering. Don't feel the need that you have to fill the whole 2 minutes with a response. You know, when you're done saying what you have to say, just hit done answering. Don't try to just stretch it out to fill the time. And then just The first section is the longest or the most rigorous, I guess, because it's like 30 questions and you have like 30 seconds to answer each one. So I'm just going to show you the first couple so you just see what it's like. So you'll have this image pop up and over here will be the choices and then a countdown clock. You have to answer the question you have to hit done answering within the 30 seconds to get the points. So here and then done answering. And then you can breathe. So during this point, you could go to the bathroom, get a cup of water. So in between each question, you can pause. It's just when the question is up that you can't. And again, all these questions are available on that download. So you don't have to like try to memorize what these questions are. And they're not gonna be the same questions this year. But I just want to give you like a little sense of like how this countdown clock works. And you have to hit done answering. Now, let's say you're taking the test, right? And then, oh my goodness, my internet goes out. What do? Don't freak out. When you have your internet back, or when you maybe need to move somewhere, maybe the questions aren't loading, because all the questions are JPEG images. So sometimes some people had issues with it loading. If you're having issues and it's not loading properly, close out of the test. When you're available to take it, all you have to do is go back into the email, hit take the test, and it will bring you right back to where you left off in the test. Resume. And it will bring you back. Maybe missed that one question, but, and then you can keep on going. So that's just a little bit of demo of what to expect. We'll go through it a little bit more in the different types of questions we ask, but just thought it'd be helpful for you guys to see it. If you can't make it tomorrow, if you don't want to sit in on the test prep session. And did that start any new questions with our last minute? No.
Well, I hope you guys found
Oh,
this.
we got one. Dariana?
Yeah, sorry. So not necessarily related to the test, but just like how do you all go about assessing media partner placement? So like, are we allowed to express if we want to work with a certain business, or like how do we choose that?
Not really. So first in the application, we do ask, like, are there certain industries or topics you want to cover? And I have seen already some interns are like, I want to work for the Marshall Project and cover criminal justice. So that there would be a spot in the application you could put that, but we're not really going to read that or take that into consideration. We get a job description from the media partner and they tell us what they need. They might also have additional requirements like you are from that state or you're from that city. They might ask that it be a senior who's graduating so they're eligible for hire. They might ask that you have a car, you're required to have a car because maybe it's an urban area that does not have, public transportation. So you need a car to be able to get out and cover a story. So those are all factors that we're taking into consideration when we're making our placements. So the people who make the decision are our training directors. So they would call and say, this is the internship I have. And this is the pay, these are the dates. And, this is your opportunity to be really honest with us. You could say, you know what, I was really hoping to go XYZ. I was really, this isn't for me. We can't guarantee it. They might say, sorry, I don't have that for you. This is it, take it or leave it. And then you can make that informed decision. Or they might say, you know what, I might have something for you. Let me get back to you. So that's the opportunity to talk about it with our program directors when they call you, and then go from there. But, and we would appreciate the honesty too. But also the first question I ask is like, do you have any other internship offers on the table? Have you accepted any internships? Don't accept an internship with someone else and then accept us and then cancel on them, and don't accept with us and then cancel and take something else. That's something really important to us.
Any other questions? See, we have a couple people that are just joining us. But hopefully this was helpful to you. We really want to encourage you to apply. I mean, it's an hour or so of your time, but I think it's worth it. And, it just gives you more options. So if there's nothing else, thank you for coming. And good luck to you all. We hope to see your applications.
And maybe we'll see some of you tomorrow for the test prep session. We're also going to repeat this next week. We're going to do the exact same thing, an info session, and then a test prep for next week as well. So, and we have this recorded. We'll post on our website for those who just joined, maybe time difference confusion. I apologize. This session we'll have it up on our website and we'll share.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.